In case you didn't notice, Tiny Fingers is running for president again.
The radical Democrats are going totally insane.
But unlike normal human beings, Trump lives in an imaginary world where everything he says is automatically true. For example, Trump says he's 6'3", 215, which is a remarkable statement considering, we have cameras. But you see, lying about your weight when everyone can see the truth is a metaphor for what Trump does for everything.
They say if you're heavy, so I say, thank goodness I'm in perfect shape. Thank goodness.
If Trump were to speak the truth, he'd say, hey, I'm a 350-pound pus-filled bacterial skin tag. But that's not Donnie's style.
And when they said I'm very healthy, the news was devastated.
Lies about your weight seem trivial when you consider Trump will say anything to get what he wants, as will his traveling pack of aberrant bowel monkeys.
Heartbreak.
Are you familiar with Laken Riley?
I am familiar with the case.
You should have deported her so that she could be alive today. Her parents would have appreciated that.
That's Dairy Queen. She was so excited she forgot which side of the border she lives on.
And so I'm very excited about that.
In a normal year with normal human beings, Trump couldn't lie about the economy, inflation, crime, the border, choice, Ukraine, and of course, 91 indictments. But nothing is normal anymore, and Trump is living proof.
Donald Trump, he's lost it up here.
The issues that will have a huge impact on the 24 election are crime, the border, and abortion. Trump claims that under Biden, crime is up, and under Trump, crime was down. Trump also claims that under Trump, the border was secure, and he built a wall that Mexico paid for. And under Biden, millions of terrorists, prisoners, and murderers now live in America. And abortion, well, Trump was pro-choice, then pro-life, then for federal law, then against it. Well, you get it.
I want to thank the 6 justices, Chief Justice John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett.
Trump will say anything to get what he wants.
And we're a failed nation right now.
This is like communist level shit.
But during congressional hearings, the Democrats had a point or two of their own. Let's start by combining these two issues, crime and immigration. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says crime from illegals is so bad he needs a razor wire fence in the river to stop the women and children cartel members from coming into the U.S. and killing people. He actually said that. Little secret first, though, immigrants, even illegals, commit crime on a 1/6 scale of indigenous Americans. Anyway, so here's Sheriff Wayborn of Tarrant County, right in the heart of Texas. Surely he'll be able to speak to this immigrant crime wave.
Sheriff, do you know if within the last year between 2022 and 2023, if there was an increase or decrease in murder and negligent homicide in Tarrant County?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it did not increase.
Okay. In fact, it went down by almost 17%. So great job. What about manslaughter by negligence, or we call it criminally negligent homicide? How about rape?
All those categories we believe went down.
Absolutely. Awesome. So there actually was a decrease by 3.35% in rape. Robbery went down 4.5%, and both aggravated and simple assault went collectively down by 3.18%, and theft went down by 3.89%. This is at the same time in which we're talking about the migrant community and stoking these fears that they're bringing all of this trauma and this crime and violence to our communities. But when we look at a Texas community, Tarrant County, actually everything has gone down.
Well, that's interesting. I never heard Trump say that. Let's move on.
The U.S. has become a dumping ground for everybody else's problems. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
But of course Trump would cut America off from the very people who have made us the world's breadbasket. He also lies about where they're from and why they're here.
But people are coming from the Congo. Last night we had 20 people come. Welcome to our country from the Congo. Where do you live in the Congo? We live in prison. Oh, that's right. They released them from prison. I don't think they wanted to ask what they did, but they're coming in from Africa.
But Congressman Robert Garcia from California, who knows a thing or two about agriculture, had this rebuttal to Donnie Indictable.
Indictable.
I want to also note something about the way the incumbent president views migration and the way he views the world. I think it's important to point out. We know that in 2016, Donald Trump launched his campaign by pointing out that Mexicans are essentially rapists and murderers. We've seen that already. In 2018, he told members of Congress in the Oval Office when they discussed protecting immigrants from African countries that he didn't want any migrants from what he called shithole countries. And that's his quote, not mine. Trump then suggested that the U.S. should instead bring more people from countries such as Norway, because apparently they're nice immigrants. And let's not forget that he tried over and over again to ban Muslims coming from this country as well. All the while, he continues to fuel extremism and violence by claiming falsely that he won the 2020 election. Now, Trump continues with his view of the world to attack a legal immigration system that actually works. We know that visas fell every year during Trump's administration. There was a hiring freeze at the U.S. Citizenship and Customs Immigration Service, and his administration has used every possible way of disqualifying and denying visas.
Another Trump lie erased. But are you surprised? Obama and Biden have deported more undocumented than Trump, and they did it without the wall that was never built, would have never worked, and that Mexico never paid for.
Whatever it will cost, how are you going to make them pay for the wall?
I will.
But Democrat Dan Goldman put the proverbial nail in the coffin of Trump lies by noting that Biden and conservative U.S. Senator Jim Langford had a bill that covered every single one of the Republican concerns, from ending catch and release to shutting down the border when the encounters reached a certain point.
They want chaos in order to win an election rather than to solve the problems. You don't have to take my word for it. Let's quote Donald Trump, who said that he sabotaged the bipartisan deal to secure the border because, quote, it made it much better for the opposing side, unquote. And that he had stated that he, quote, killed, unquote, the deal. Senator Langford himself said that a top Republican told me that if I try to move a bill that solves the border crisis during this election year, he will do whatever he can to destroy me. He said, I do not want you to solve this during the presidential election. There was a policy bill. There was a policy change that would have significantly addressed the problems at the border. And instead, you all on the other side of the aisle sabotaged it, where you baselessly impeached the secretary who's trying to solve our problems at the southern border because you want to win it. You want to win in November.
Gentleman's time has expired.
You don't want to solve the problem.
So let's jump from immigration back to crime. Crime was going down until Trump's second year when we saw a spike, and it kept on going up and up and up until, do you know this guy?
And before we get to the border, I just want you to remind us, who was president in 2020 again?
Donald Trump.
Thank you. Now, is it true that under Donald Trump, murder rates surged by 30%, according to data collected by police departments across America, to the highest rate since the 90s?
Yes, absolutely. Surge in the summer of 2020.
And this data was collected by our men and women in police, like the Long Beach Police Department, which I honorably represented and helped support back in my community. Now, since 2020, when we know that President Biden was elected, have violent crime rates increased or fallen?
They've fallen year after year, yes.
In fact, they have fallen dramatically. Is that correct?
And we just have reporting early this fiscal year, or this 2024, that they're continuing to fall.
So crime is at incredibly high levels when Donald Trump is elected, and now overall violent crime has dramatically decreased now that President Biden is in office. Is that correct?
Over the last 4 years, crime has fallen.
Thank you. And that's actually data reported by our cops. So we want to believe our men and women and law enforcement. That's the data that they're providing us.
Trump's lies about crime, from Pizzagate to the border, create anxiety and unrest against immigrants and people of color, much as Trump did during the pandemic by calling it the China virus. But one thing Trump can't lie is the reaction women are having to his ownership of the Supreme Court's overturning Roe. And then, when Arizona decided to go back to the Civil War, Trump's let the states decide backfired, and women across America became furious. Let's be honest, women don't F around. They see something wrong and they don't wiggle and compromise. They bring the hammer down. When a 10-year-old rape victim can't get an abortion because Pouty McFunkwinkle's boot is on her neck, women remember these things. Trump won't stop lying, and with conservative media enabling him, it's incumbent on the rest of us to tell the truth. And the truth is this: Trump is a sociopathic threat to our nation. And yes, I put on a couple pounds.
Who's with me?
Hi, what's up?
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, right.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
Thank you so much for watching. You know, YouTube frequently penalizes my videos for taking on controversial subjects, hurting our ability to earn ad revenue, which we use to hire more hosts and make more videos. We think it's so important to make these videos now and expose the Republican cult. So please join us on Patreon. The link is in the comments. We literally can't make these without you. Thank you so much. For Really American Media,
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.